and welcome to Master Edison Format. This is a channel for you to get better at Edison. And today we have episode 2 of the 10-win challenge, and we're playing with Hero Frogs. And this is a deck I haven't featured that much on the channel. I've played with it a few times. I've kind of put together this version which is similar to, it's a Hero Frog deck, so it's going to be similar to some of the other decks, but I kind of made a few strategic changes. I have Allure of Darkness in the main, which I think is actually a pretty good card to help you unbrick from a lot of things. I have 2 Prodigy. It's a dark, it's a hero target. It's a way to unlock all your monarchs without having the Reborn. It's a way to do, Substitute, basically turn 1 Substitute, do proc praise, and of course the dark for Allure of Darkness. I have Battle Fader as an extra target. I mean, you play actually pretty good number of targets. You have 8 targets in the main. Plus, when you side, you often bring in Crow. You sometimes bring in Vanity's Fiend. So you have I think enough targets to play Allure. And I found that it's actually a very good card in this deck. Helps you unbreak from other things. Of course, you don't want to banish the Caius, but at the same time, sometimes you just need to see other things. You need to see the miracles. You need to see the if you don't have 3 more engraved, you need to see the swap, and I felt like it's worked pretty well. In terms of the Monarch lineup, we have 3 Caius, 2 Rides, 1 Evil Edge. The Frogs is pretty standard. The 1 Unifrog in the main. I don't play the flip-flop frog. I don't play a lot of the shenanigans that you see in some frog monarch decks. This is more of just kind of a standard hero frog deck. I play 5 hero targets. You've seen lists recently play 3 heroes, play different amounts. I like to play minimum 4 targets, better if it's 5. And with the Prodigy being a dark, as I said, there's some other synergies with the junk, synergies with Allure, synergies with the Monarch, so I felt like it was good ratio. And I have another target that sometimes comes in from the side, the Nails, and I just want my Miracle Fusions to be as live as possible. And then you have Eco Rhoda, and consider that sometimes your heroes are gonna get banished, so I don't think it hurts to play a couple extra ones if you can. 1 Soul Exchange, no enemy control. I'm not a huge fan of enemy control, to be honest. Yes, sometimes randomly it's gonna win you the game because you change the position of something, or it's gonna be good sometimes. It's gonna be better, of course, than Soul Exchange sometimes. But I just feel like enemy control is kind of not to say a win more card, but it's a card that works when everything is already going according to plan, which means you have 3 Reborn and your opponent has a monster you want to remove. But I feel like the Soul Exchange is more important because especially if you don't have the 3 Reborn set up, or you're just kind of trying to code come back from a situation, I feel like it's better. And then not much to say about the rest of the deck. I mean, I have 2 Legacy of Spiritual Water Art. This is something that I've seen players play in the main. I've thought about playing in the main. The problem is that I think this is just a little bit awkward going second. It's very good going first, and so that's why I sided to when I'm going first. And then we have 3 Dust Tornado. You need to out the Mask of Restrict. You need to out sometimes Oppression. You need to out a lot of kind of annoying cards your opponent might have. We have Double Deep Prison, again, another way to out things, another Soul Exchange when you bring in Vanities or Dark Dust, Lightning Vortex. I mean, just have a number of just basically ways to out things. The Crow is just, if you're going second, you don't want to just absolutely get nuked if you have no way to interact with the graveyard. And then the extra deck is pretty standard. You do have the Junk Synchron, so you have access to pretty much all of these plays. You don't make them all the time or that often, but you do have access to this. It's searchable. I mean, it's you actually have access to other things with this deck, and so I liked how it plays. One thing I will say is that compared to the decks I'm used to, this requires a little bit more thought, a little bit more thinking, and not in a bad way, but there are some automatic things which are just auto win or auto play hands with this deck too. For example, turn 1 it swaps and 3 Reborn is pretty automatic thing you do almost every time. But you have some things you have to think about. You have some more tricky things you can do with the swap, bouncing things. you can, you know, the way you sequence things is really important. The way, I mean, and the games tend to be grindy games, like longer games, so you know, you need to be able to win those games to play this deck. But let's go into the Reapers and see how we did. This first Reaper we're playing against Fletcher, and again, this is the Rattle reset, so the ratings are pretty low. One thing to keep in mind is that the challenge is to play 10 games and win 10 games in a row. Just so you know, like I kind of I did a few practice games with this deck before, and I had like it was a different version of the deck. I think it was like Fraser's Mitris or whatever, and like I lost a couple games before doing this because I just was kind of rusty with it, to be honest. Like I was just kind of like forgetting things and just needed a couple games just to get in the mood. And yeah, here we play against Fletcher. He's playing some zombie. Here I think I kind of play entirely into his hand. I let my Reborn get banished by the Book of Life. Like flourishing on turn 1 the Goblin Zombie was kind of weird. Like that didn't really make sense to me. But then like now that I see the Book of Life, I could have maybe read into this. But anyway, he summons this guy, and I decide just to take the damage. I don't want to drop the goals because he can just go into a Blackwings and get rid of it. So here I decide to MST, go for the Prodigy, go for Caius, out basically both his monsters, and now we're already in like a pretty good position. This swap play was not like entirely necessary, but I kind of wanted to, yeah, he's doing some math wrong. I kind of wanted to add my Caius back to hand now that we have Reborn set. Now Reborn comes down, we get to attack with a swap, bounce it, I go for the Rise Up, I play around Torrential this way, as I put this back, and yeah, he goes for return, now goes for Caius. It's a little bit, you know, it's a little bit scary, but like I don't think he has enough. We know that one of the cards is in hand, and like here, we just win the game because we dropped the goals, and like he was for sure not expecting it because we could have dropped it a couple of turns before. Now game 2, he has a lure which you know, he decides not to use, which I understand, but at the same time I feel like, okay, yeah, he's trying to set up this Darkon play. Again, I don't think my opponents, or at least at this ranking, are that good. Here we go for the Stratos, Sub-Zero. I decide to play it kind of aggressively, set all of this up, bounce, and then yeah, set the dupe rock. He goes for Instant Fusion, goes for Mind Control, goes for Break Spreader into the Black, which the Black Rose doesn't make any sense. Why would you Mind Control first? Like yeah, just doesn't. Yeah, just I don't know, just a weird play. All of this was to summon the Darkon, which I guess you summon, and like here he blind Arose, which yeah, it's also weird. It's kind of awkward. Here we go for the Miracle Fusion. Absolute Zero can attack over. We go for Unifrog, which I think was an overextension. Probably I could have just attacked with the Absolute Zero. Didn't need to do that. Here he does shoots. I mean, we are still like so far ahead. Like he needs to have something like extremely powerful to like get out of this. And like we're gonna slowly win this game. All we're missing is a Monarch at this point. He does go into a YuGiOh, which is you know, it's kind of annoying. But we have the Junk Synchron, which again you see the power of this card here. Now, there's a few different ways we could have gone about it. Yeah, I kind of made a mistake. I wanted to go for the Junk Warrior and then Brain Control, and this should be game unless he specifically has golds. And it's a bit risky because like if he has gold, I decided to attack with this first so I can seal the goals with the YuGiOh Guardian. But yeah, that's just game, and we just put, you know, 6,000 damage on the field in one turn, thanks to Brain Control, thanks to the Junk Synchron. So in the next round, we're playing against Flores 0-0, and this is like a Framwell Machina Lightsworn control deck, and like I completely botched like this game in the sense that like you'll see what happens, but like I play this pretty poorly for a few different reasons. First of all, like I mean, all I'm gonna say is that I just completely like just had a brain fart like in the middle of like this game, but. Anyway, he starts off with the Raikon, and I could have just played around this by just summoning Dupe and crashing into it. Like, that seems like it might have been better, but yeah, actually no, that would have been just even worse. I could have just set Dupe and done nothing else, not set the back row, but I was hoping he was gonna hit my Dupe, respecting, you know, Raiko or something like that. but he decides to hit the back row because of course he's playing Fumble. Luckily the dupe does hold the 4th for us. Now we get the Reborn, we banish the Kairos, which is a bit annoying, but you know, it is what it is. Here he attacks. I wouldn't have brought the Reborn back unless like I kind of like knew I was gonna mirror force that. Now we heavy, we go for this, we're gonna set up like the whole basically sub dupe rock, but you know, it could be potentially scary. Here we have Torrential, we just go back and forth. He doesn't have an out to the dupe rock, which is one of the nice things about playing against machines, but here he does have double Pot of Avarice, and like you'll see like this game like just goes kind of wrong. Yeah, he does roll the Kairos, which is the out. Now we go for the Unifrog, and unfortunately the Dust Tornado does it out Torrential. And now Kairos comes down, banishes this, we lose the Substitute, we lose the Unifrog, and we kind of like have to come back from this really tough position. We draw the Miracle, which is pretty good, and we have the hero. So here I decide to Miracle Fusion for Absolute Zero, attack over the YuGiOh, and then we will be able to clear the rest of the monsters hopefully. And then yeah, this can't get killed because of the Substitute, so he a little bit of like a misplay there. He loses loses the rest of his monsters, gets back the Fortress, and then Absolute Zero again. And again, we're gonna trade with this Fortress, but at least we also clear his Gear Frame. We have another Miracle Fusion, by the way. We drew into 3 miracles too, which was kind of crazy that like we managed to lose it, I don't want to spoil it, but we will lose this game. And we'll lose it because I absolutely punted, and you'll see it in a sec. So here he sets Raikou. I decided to go for the Malicious Edge, and here, first of all, here's the first mistake. My opponent has a handful of monsters, so like, it looks scary, but like frankly I could have just, I expected this to be Raikou, or potentially to be Hamster. But since this does piercing damage, he needs to kill, like this is gonna do a ton of damage to him, and then he will need to kill the Absolute Zero. But what I should have done is just gone for the Absolute Zero before, because then the Raikou will need to pop it, and then what we can, next turn he can't even set a monster because this is gonna attack over it, so this is gonna deal the piercing damage. So that was the first big mistake, but I decided, okay, just to play it cautiously, keep the Absolute Zero, keep the Miracle so that we can Absolute Zero in the next turn. But again, had we kept the Malicious Edge, this would have gotten killed, and we would have done the piercing damage. So, but instead we have the Up-Zero. Now, another huge, just absolutely monstrous mistake is setting this MST. The reason for that is that he hasn't been setting anything for the whole game. He also topped the Gear Frame, that's another thing. But like he's down to 800, so like if we top deck any Kairos, which we have 2 of them in the deck, or even if we top deck Ariza, we're very likely to win this game. And by setting MST, I'm basically preventing myself from bringing back the Reborn, which is yeah, not what we want to see. And then on top of that, either I think you set the 1-for-1 and the MST so that you have a chance of popping your own card, or you set nothing, which I think would have been even better at this point. But I was kind of afraid to die, so I decided to set the MST as a bluff. But this is yeah, we top deck the Kairos and we just get absolutely punished for our play. He doesn't even equip the Gear Frame, which by the way would have been like the other way to get rid of the MST, which I was hoping would happen. But anyway, yeah, I just basically lost the game out of my own, like just inexperience with the stupidity, call it what you want, but we're not gonna let this happen again. So turn on game 2, we start with Stratos. We have a very good hand, like yeah, we have just 1-for-1 Stratos. Like I mean, I decided to just go kind of aggressive. He doesn't seem to have like a ton of ways to break the dupe rock, so yeah, we just go for it. Now Delon comes back, he decided then the Mask of Restrict, and I tried to heavy, hoping that, you know, for some whatever reason he set 4 without Solemn or Starlight. Yeah, here we go for the Ocean, just trying to put damage on the field, and I wanted Unifrog to clear his back row. Now he sets Raikou, but like now we can go for the Unifrog, attack directly, pop the Mask of Restrict, and now it's gonna be tough for him to deal with this. Raikou does out the Unifrog though, and you know, we still were able to clear things. Now we go for the Malicious Edge. I could have gone for the Kairos, but I kind of want to hold this for something better. And he's taking a lot of damage already. And yeah, we go for Kaios now. I pop the back row. I hit exactly the bottomless, which is kind of unfortunate. I just wanted, I felt like that was like a deep prison or something, because like he set like turn 1 torrential bottomless everything. So he does top deck the Kaiko, which clears both 3-borns, but it is what it is. During my turn, I had a few different options. I could soul exchange, I decided to play it like in kind of like a, not to say like a risky, but just kind of decided to go for it. Here we go for the attacks. He targeted the Kaios, which is a bit strange. Here he goes for the Pot of Avarice. Again, Pot of Avarice is just insane in a deck like this that just goes through so many monsters. And like he decides to brain control, and like I was probably a little bit hasty to deprison this. But frankly, I just wanted to get my 3-born back next turn because it's down to 18. So like if I get my 3-born back, that should be game. Actually, I don't have 3-born, my bad. But I have the Absolute Zero, I have the Miracle and Kaios, so it should be game regardless. But yeah, yeah, I guess like I could have taken the damage. Honestly, deprisoning there was maybe a mistake. Here he goes for sets 2. Set from the Magician, didn't set Pulling the Rug or second Mask with Restrict, and I have the MSC. So here is where I want to keep the Skyro, so I go for the Stratos first, add the Prodigy, attack first, want to see what he's dealing with. I guess like he is the deeper, we don't allure yet. I'm like thinking that maybe I will need the Prodigy and Kaios together. So actually drawing second Kaios informs my decision. We go for the swap gets bounced, we set 2 and pass. I want to keep taking damage from this, so I'm gonna prison this and pass. Here we go for the swap. He uses Pulling the Rug and goes for the Gear Frame, which he top decked, which yeah, it's very strong. But in a deck like this, he doesn't play that many machine monsters, so he doesn't always get to like restore the Gear Frame. Here he starts Dust Tornadoing because he unfortunately does have the second Mask of Restrict. We have the Dupe, which defends us really well here, and like here I just kind of keep playing it very patiently. And he goes for the Breaker, but I chain the Torrential. Unfortunately, our Dupe misses timing because the Breaker is chain link 1. Yeah, this Mask of Restrict is very annoying for us to deal with. We're gonna go for the Ocean just to do some damage and like not take so much damage on the backswing. We also would want a hero monster in the grave, so for the Miracle. Now 3-born comes back, we set another 3-born. Again, we're just trying to kind of survive. And the next turn, the 3-born gets to come back again. We can't tribute, by the way, so yeah, we go for the Absolute Zero, start attacking. Here's something actually interesting. Before I went for Miracle, I only have 1 hero in grave. Before I went for Miracle, I set the Prodigy because I had a feeling he was gonna crow. And if he crowed and like if he crowed our only hero, then our Miracle Fusion basically wouldn't get anything back. So I kind of played that on purpose so that like in the worst case in which he crows it, we can banish our Prodigy from the field. So that will actually play heads up since he has double crow, not just 1. But yeah, here now he basically trades his Fortress for the Absolute Zero. But now we did draw the heavy, and so now we have, which we didn't draw, we had I think for 1 turn, and now we can start really pushing our advantage. We also have our own crow. He tried to go for the Avarice, but there was no chance, and frankly, like, yeah, he could have maybe, I guess like if he summoned the Kaiko, we wouldn't have been able to do that, but anyway, yeah, he uses the Miracle, which of course uses the crow to bait the Miracle, but yeah, we have the Malicious Edge and we get to attack for game. And yeah, that's just a very grindy match, especially game 1. I just should have won it outright. Then we had to come back from behind and we won game 2 and game 3, and yeah, it was like it really helped me get a sense for how the deck works. It was very educational in a sense, this game, and like I think it really set me up for playing much better in the next few games. So the next game was against this guy who's playing Exodia, and I'm not gonna like comment too much. He was a new player. I was trying to like be nice to him, but he was like kind of didn't really know how chain links work, so I basically have to explain like how YuGiOh works to him. But yeah, he has this deck. I mean, he already could have done things. He like started chaining things, and like instead of chaining them, he was like resorting them and then chaining something out. I was trying to explain to him that like he can't exactly do that, but anyway, yeah, in the end, it's fine. Like it was clear he's like kind of a newer player, or just nobody really ever explained something to him. And so yeah, he was just trying to understand how chain works. Like he thought like you resolve every card and then you can chain to it, or something weird. Yeah. Anyway, here I go for Stratos. I try to pop something. And again, I was trying to explain to him that Stratos doesn't target, and so like he has to chain something before. So I asked him, do you chain something else? And then he didn't. He just used the Reckless, which is like out of all these cards the worst one to use. But yeah, you could have just chained everything, draw for everything, and anyway, I mean, yeah, this game, I was also like kind of distracted from like trying to explain him how his own cards work. So yeah, here we go for junk again. This was kind of like just a mistake. Everything in his deck is chainable, so there's not really a point in doing this. He draw 3, 4, 6. I do 6 cards. I just use the Black Rose and like kind of like get rid of all my pressure. Here I put more pressure on it, and again, I actually missed 1000 damage with swap the turn before. And that's gonna hurt here because like he's down to 900, and now he has threatening roll and all these things. He's still dead to Archaios, that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, here 3-1, we get there to go with the sub for like the Unifrog just to pop things. Here he chains everything, and finally I mean at least by the end of the duel he learned how chains work, and he draws his whole deck. He has Exodia, so we lose the first game. Yeah, imagine playing against the Exodia deck that doesn't know how to use chains and you still lose game 1. Game 2 though, we bring in the Spiritual Water Art. Like there's no chance. Like I know his hand. Like I'm just absolutely cooking it. I know what this is the Dust Tornado or the MST, and like we're absolutely there's no chance. Game 2. I'm sorry. It was fun while it lasted, but like there's just no way. Yeah, I could have I mean this game 2 was just cooked from the start. And game 3 again, I have pretty good idea of what he's playing, unless like he opens like really broken. And again, here he just decided to set one rather than set like his cards, which I understand, but you kind of want to use your cards and want to draw into more cards with this deck. But yeah, here we go for the swap, go for the Ocean. I just decided I'm gonna put pressure on him, and like he might have to threatening roll if he doesn't want to take more damage. If I was him, I would just take the damage, just keep the threatening roll for future turns. But anyway, now we also set this up in a way that Stratos next turn is gonna actually pop more cards, and so he uses both here, so we don't even really have to pop the Stratos. There's really no reason for chaining it in this way. So yeah, that was just kind of. Yeah, I had set the Dust Tornado during my turn. Here again, he chains both, which again is doesn't really achieve anything. And yeah, it's gonna be game. He would have to set the White Stone, hope to draw into something, but it's gonna be game. Like we can just banish it with the Kaios, and yeah, not really anything he could do then after. He was a nice guy. I just was trying to explain to him how to do it. It's kind of a short game. It's Exodia. It's just kind of a meme deck. He's playing a list that's actually really similar to the one I've recommended, so maybe I don't know, maybe he's onto something, but he needs to learn how the chain works. Next we're playing against Happy Pills. He's on this type of like zombie light creature swap shenanigans. We just go for the Sub-Zero turn 1. I really like doing this turn 1 to thin out the deck, number 1. Number 2, you play around interaction that you can have on turn 2 and so on, and so I just feel like this is just a good way to do it. Now Sub-Zero is gonna go for the Unifrog. We go to attack, and like he has a Deep Prison. We end up MSTing the second one, which I think was a little bit just not great, but we do have a way to go for swap, to just set up our hand, go for the Kaios to banish the set monster because we didn't normal summon yet. And now next he goes for this Paladin. We want to put it back because we really don't care if he draws that. And then he draws this, and he decides to creature swap, which I understand, but at the same time, like he was like, you're right, monster, for your honest. Like it's a little bit awkward. Anyway, now we have to just out our Ryza, and I decide not to push too far, even though we could have done more things, but we don't need to. He has a skill drain here. Stratos gonna pop it. We're really in a commanding position. He's playing something really kind of interesting, a little bit Yankee. He's playing skill drain. We do get the heavy storm though. Now Stratos gets to search. We're gonna set this up for next turn. And Stratos attacks and destroys the Goblin Zombie. Now, the Thunder King is gonna get to attack over Stratos, but we have the out already, or at least not the out, we have like a way to kind of lock this down. Now, I decided to go for Dupe and Unifrog and just try to get some value or clear the back row. He goes for the Revived King Hades, which he actually can't. He has to go for the YuGiOh, which I think is just better in this spot anyway, but anyway. Kaios attacks, banish the YuGiOh, then we're gonna get us extra search. Now we can bounce the Kaios back. It's a little bit of like an overextension, but I think it's fine. He does the honest, and he doesn't return it to hand, which is strange because like you literally have the torrential, so you could have just returned it to hand. But anyway, yeah, we do have the Miracle Fusion to put some pressure, he took 3000 preemptively. We have another Miracle Fusion to keep putting pressure. We could go for the Kaios too, but there's no need, just in case he has goals or something like that. He goes for the Book of Life, goes for the Revived King Hades. Interesting to not go for Brionac or something like that, but okay. Yeah. So the Treeborn can come back, and now we attack over. Yeah, I think like you should still go for Brionac. He tries to creature swap, but like even in that case, we Mirror Force. Now this can bring back his own zombie, so like he's dead on board, because this was destroyed by battle. So like this, like giving this card to your opponent when you're playing a zombie deck is kind of, it's a little bit spicy. Like it's kind of crazy, but anyway, this, like in this series, we're still so like low in the ladder that we're gonna run into a lot of random stuff. That's just the way it is. I think it's also fun, but yeah, this was a relatively easy one. Next, we're playing against Winder Paco. He's playing Gravekeepers. This is interesting matchup. You don't really see Gravekeepers that often. He has a handful of monsters, which is not great for him, but we have ways to kind of play here. We go for the Kaios. He does have the Saurian, which is like one of the only outs you could have. Here we set MST, the MST and pass. Now he goes for the Descendant. And interestingly, he summoned this in defense. I understand you don't want this to die to something too easily, but you see I'm playing Frog. I don't really have any monsters that like can't attack over like all the monsters that can attack over 1200 usually also attack over 17. There's very few, but yeah, he just admits defeat. Like we have so much value. Like he has a handful of monsters. Game 2 is a different beast, and like I didn't know he was playing Morphine Jar. Like, game 2 is really like things are starting to cook for him. He starts off sets 4. He's not afraid of heavy, which like, if I had the heavy, I think I'm still going for it, to be honest. Not only he's not afraid, he has the Morphine Jar, so that makes sense. Here we try to Regeki break. He 7 tours, and yeah, we draw 5-2, which is not terrible, but like he went +5 on that, so like that's just very good. I don't even know if we do 5 or what, like, but anyway, yeah, that was pretty good. Here we try to summon something, but he changed his appearance as the Reborn, which, yeah, and we try to go for a substitute, but like he has to wait because I'm using Prio. He decides to change his appearance. We still get to summon something, like double change his appearance. It's also brutal. And now we can't attack as we use the Soul Exchange. And now he attacks over the Dupe Frog. We add the Unifrog. We have the E-Core set, but like we don't have any Treebones, we don't have anything, so like we're in kind of trouble. We draw the goals kind of finally, but still we're in a lot of trouble. Now he goes for the Asteriant. He kind of forgot that it has to be face up already, so the Dupe actually saves us for a turn. Now we go for Unifrog. I know about the Torrential, by the way, so like I'm gonna play around it. Now he does have the Stereo though, and like that's kind of just, it's probably gonna be GG because like, okay, this can attack over now, and Dupe is gonna add the swap back, but like Stereo is not gonna be great. Now we Brain Control, and we decide to attack first, then I trigger for Kaios. I want to get rid of Necro Valley. I could try to get rid of the set too, but Anyway, Necro Valley comes down, he has another Stereo, which is just very, very strong. Like, he has infinite Necro Valleys, and I'm down to 2100. Frankly, I should have used the Miracle Fusion, because, but I was holding it, I don't know why, but I should have just Miracle Fusion there. Game 3, we start off with the swap, and set 1 pass. We have the Spiritual Warlord, take the Morphing Jaw. That card basically won in the last game, and I feel like if we play just a grind game in a situation where I know his end, I'm gonna win this game. And here's the first thing that's gonna be interesting. It took me like a little bit to decide, because Chain Disappearance is annoying. Deck Heavy, we basically lose if he gets to resolve it. The Commandant is gonna turn into a Necro Valley, so like, I mean, it's okay, we could take that too, but then the Morphing Jaw could draw him into a Necro Valley. The Descendant on its own doesn't do a lot, so I just kind of felt like this was fine. We could also take the Oppression, but again, our hand is not terrible against Oppression, because we can actually punish the Descendant with the Ocean or something like that, or with, or just with another monster. So here he tries to set up basically the prey with Deck Heavy and Descendant. Here we take 2000. I decide to hold my MST until the end to see if he commits differently, just not give him the information. And then end phase we MST the Necro Valley, and this way he can't detect Devastation Viruses. Here he Chain Disappearances the Reborn, yeah, which is again pretty annoying. But we do have the Alias. And yeah, he wasn't supposed to shuffle this. The Alias attacks over, and now he has Oppression, which I know about, Deck Heavy, which I know about, and Skill Dame, which also really doesn't do anything here. Here I decide to just set and pass, but now I'm getting more aggressive. I could have gotten more aggressive before as well, but since I set 1 pass, now we go for Substitute. He uses the Oppression. I kind of wanted them to use the Oppression. Here he also uses the Skill Dame, which doesn't make any sense to me, because you negated your own Spy, which would have summon something, because I couldn't Oppression it since it was in the damage shop. I don't know what he was doing, to be honest. Like, I think this was just kind of a misplay, because but anyway, yeah, I think regardless we would have found a way to win. We had a couple of different options. One way was just drawing any Monarch. We could Soul Exchange it. One other way, I mean, we have a number of ways to win this game, and we have, I mean, Brain Control, of course, is gonna be game. It plays around Torrential. I know this is Deck Heavy. I basically there's one unknown card, and I'm not gonna play into it. Next we play against Gay Bread, and he's on the Citadel deck, and this is just another kind of random deck. Yeah, he goes for this setup prey, which we just decide to bait, and I just decide to take everything and just play this as aggressively as possible, go in for damage. And I mean, again, this is perhaps a bit too aggressive, but I just wanted to just go for damage, and yeah, he just passes, and we were gonna be Kaiosing next turn again. We had the Geki Break. Now in game 2 he starts off with the Breaker, which is a weird way to start, but I almost feel like you'd rather start with your weaker monster or whatever. But anyway, he goes for, so here's what happened. I go for Substitute Tribute monster to an activate effect. He chain links to Magical Dimension, but that means that this Night Hand Sorcerer is gonna miss timing, because when you can effect, and it's chain blocked by the chain link 1 Substitute, so doesn't actually get to banish from my grave. And yeah, we get to put the swap and add the swap back to hand, and then we can normal summon the Stratos. I forget exactly what happened, but yeah, I think, oh yeah, maybe this came from the 1-for-1. Yeah, so that kind of makes sense. Yeah, he just admits defeat. There's nothing there to say. The last Reaper playing against Fine YuGiOh, and this is the question: we are 9 wins. Can we get the 10th wins? And this was a really tough match. We were playing against some type of Chaos, Dragon Turbo. Here we start off with basically the Substitute into Swap Prey, and we actually have a pretty good hand. He does have the Future Fusion, which again is very scary. He takes the Hero, which is smart, because this Miracle Fusion, might end up dead. I add the Substitute back to my hand, with the swap, and I decide to go for damage, play around the goals, and then after make the YuGiOh Guardian. Now we go to attacks, he go a Geki Break. Yeah, I didn't really want to commit my Kairos into that. Main phase 2, we go for the substitute with Leaving Dupe. The reason for doing this is that I want to bring the Unifrog to pop the Future Fusion next turn, but of course he has brain control, and you know, we kind of get cooked by that. I set one pass. I don't want to commit my... I decided not to commit my Kairos into anything, and I want my goals to come out, so I do have to like call the Haunted, the Darker, the return, not to die. Here we go for Kairos, we get to pop the back, and we have the Torrential, and I know his future is coming down, so I have to Torrential. Here I didn't even need to Kairos, but I was really afraid the last backer was going to be some way to basically, some way to just like protect his monsters, in which case I would have just lost the game. And now we are 4 or 5 cards against, or 6 cards against 2, and like we really have the possibility of like closing the game out. Now he goes for a Gold Salt, but I think it's just too little too late. Like go for this, go for the Absolute Zero, and this is just gonna be game. Yeah, like not really too much to say there. That was just really, I think, pretty well navigated. Game 2, he starts off with the Future Fusion and Chain Disappearance. That's not, you know, that's not an easy feat for anybody to come back. He Chain Disappearances my swap, which is not exactly what we wanted. We set up a dupe just as some extra protection, because then next turn I can go for a Dark Spirit. We also have the Gores, which is gonna save us, but I kind of just wanted to take less damage. Now, Prime Material, I don't think it really mattered how we did it, but we get to summon this, which can attack over the Prime Material, and then after we can clear the board with our Dark Dust. The problem is that, like, yeah, he has this, we do have the Fader, but then he has a Dark Arm, so like he just has everything this turn. He has the Sorim too, and again we have the Dark Spirit, but I knew he had the Sorim, there was no chance. So we go to game 3. I mean, this game, like, there was no way. He played it well, but like we just had no chance. Game 3, we have the Spiritual Water, we have the great opening. I decided, it took me a while, but I was trying to decide what to do. I decided to take the Gold Sword. I just need to keep him off the Future Fusion, was my thinking, because like if he gets Future Fusion, then the return is live, then like everything else is live. Instant Kairos is also annoying, but I can play around that more easily. Gale can also be kind of annoying, but like even that I can play around more easily. Chain Disappearance I know about, so again I'm gonna play around. So he sets the Chain Disappearance, and I try to kind of bait him into using it not on my Reborn. I don't bring back the Reborn. I want him to use it on my swap or something. And so yeah, I just decide to kind of keep trying to bait him, and like he decides not to use it. And I think at some point he probably should have used it. And here we just kind of go back and forth. Again, this also plays around the Kairos, plays around Gale, like, and here he ends up doing it on the Unifor. Here's where probably, after he didn't do it on the swap, I should have just gone for Stratos maybe and just gone in for damage, but they want to, so I decided just to pass. And here, that's kind of unfortunate. Top deck instant fusion, Future Fusion, and now he can get two red meds. I get to banish one of them, but he has a return, so that's something to keep in mind. I banished the other one too. And I mean, the only way I win this game is just to play this very, very aggressively. So here he goes for his own Kairos. When he takes the damage, I summon the Goals, which does him 1000 damage as well. And now he just needs to kind of survive this turn. So here I knew that like if I would just went for it differently, he could return to save himself for one turn, but I decided to just go for the Vanities and just hope he doesn't have the Mirror Force, and it did pay off in this case. Yeah, if we would have done it any other way, like with the Stratos, like he still saves himself for one turn with the return, and then the monster off the Future Fusion comes down, so I just decided to risk it and go for it, and thanks to that we get the 10th win. And yeah, this game, even though we had the big damage lead, it could have just turned around in a second. Like he was gonna get a 5k beater, and he was gonna get just with the turn all the monsters he wanted. Like we could have just lost next turn, and so we were able to pull the win. just so you know, this is the my 10 game win streak from the 10 games with Hero Frog. Again, this is not particularly impressive if you see the average rating of my opponent, but I'm also not a Hero Frog player. As you saw, I did some basic mistakes, and I'm not afraid to show mistakes, because I think it's something anybody can learn with. I already know the first comment is going to be somebody like, oh, how can you make a video on Hero Frog if you don't even know how to play it? Or, I would say, like, I think after playing 10 games with this deck, and I'm not saying like I'm a master or anything like that, I think I learned a lot and I enjoyed playing with it a lot more. In the first few games, I think I kind of struggled to see some of the patterns, and again, I'm not in general a Frog player, but yeah, it's a fun deck, it's a strong deck, but you have a lot of micro decisions that, like, you have a lot more of them compared to, like, I think decks like Vayu Turbo and Blackwings, where you still have a lot of decisions as well. And yeah, we got 10 wins. Some of the replays that didn't show because in a couple cases, the opponent lost game 1, then quit, or maybe in one case your opponent just reopened like substitute or 1-for-1 substitute and they just quit. So yeah, I mean, I could have tried to get more and more things, but this video is long enough. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you want to get better at Edison, and I'll catch you in the next one.